So today's question comes from Sherry out of Arizona, coming off of the sales and marketing event. Her question was, could you please explain the difference between the flywheel marketing method and your traditional sales funnel? It's a great question. I'm going to go in depth on what the difference is. So here's the difference. The sales funnel, which is essentially my first love, I've built multi-million-dollar businesses off of the sales funnel model, including real estate, had a lot of success, thousands of transactions through our brokerage off of the sales funnel model. The problem with the sales funnel and the way that if you look at it, and hopefully I can get an image on my screen here after this video is edited, that the sales funnel is very linear in nature. So meaning it kind of portrays that we should build our businesses by generating new leads and then getting transactions, and it kind of makes the customer a part of that process, but more of an aftermath, meaning they go down through the funnel and the customer is just part of the sales funnel. And it's really hard to gain momentum in your business and scale your business with this linear thinking, because what do you do after you're done with the transaction? Well, in your mind, you're done with the customer, which affects every other part of the sales funnel, including the client experience. So after you get that contract, oftentimes, if we're thinking this traditional sales funnel model, we're not going to consider the client journey throughout the entire process of the sales funnel. And our lead conversion's poor, our follow-up's poor, our communication sometimes it's not as good when we get that contract because we're not thinking long-term. And that's really the difference between the sales funnel model, the old sales funnel model, is it considers more of what's happening right now with the transaction, where the flywheel model considers what's happening not only short-term but long-term, and it factors all of those things in the marketing methodology. So let's pivot over to the flywheel funnel. So for example, if you haven't heard the background of the flywheel funnel, it's a mechanism that's used to create energy, and the faster that it spins, the more energy that it creates. I forget the gentleman who invented the flywheel, but it's been brought recently into marketing efforts. And HubSpot is a big company that's really honed in on this, and another big company is Amazon. So there's giant companies that are using this model right now as we speak to be successful. And believe me when I tell you this, it's going to hit real estate. This way of thinking is going to hit real estate in a big way, especially as we get more pressure from tech companies and our world gets more competitive. And this is why I'm talking about it at every turn. Here's why it's so important. The flywheel puts the client at the center of your business instead of not just being a part of the business. And you focus on growth by factoring in the client at every point. Okay? So for example, you take a stranger, it's the first part, and imagine a circular motion. Hopefully my editing team can get an image to pop up of the flywheel funnel, if you will. So you start off with a stranger, the stranger turns into a prospect, then it turns into a customer. And then the goal, though, here's the missing link, is you want to get them and turn them into a promoter. And then they become part of your sales force. And so how you do this is you got to focus on marketing, sales, and service all coming together and working together, where you're attracting clients through your prospecting efforts, through your marketing efforts. Then you're engaging them with a consistent sales and marketing methodology. And then once you get that contract, you are hyper-focused on making sure that they have the best experience they possibly can. And because of that, you then feel more comfortable asking for referrals and then engage in promotional marketing activities to keep your SOI and finding more creative ways to provide more value than just real estate, such as maybe like a vendor checklist or a home improvement services vendor checklist, and you go out and create partnerships with other vendors or other home service providers that they can count on. You're finding different ways to always add value throughout the whole journey. And then what happens is you start gaining momentum in your business over the long haul, and then it becomes easier to scale because the flywheel focuses on speed to lead. The flywheel focuses on follow-up. The flywheel focuses on converting leads better. The Flywheel focuses on making sure that our client has a good experience when they're coming on board with us. From the time that they sign that contract, they know the expectations, and we're training our agents what that should look like. Because here's the thing, if you're not training your sales force to care as much about the client experience as when they get the contract, then you're going to run into scalability problems down the road where you can't be as profitable. Yeah, you'll still grow, but you're not going to be as profitable if you're not training on these type of things. And then basically through different promotional marketing activities and keeping in touch with your SOI and having an effective follow-up plan during and after the transaction, you're going to start scaling. And it's not an overnight project, but it's critically important if you want to be successful in the most profitable way possible, okay, is the best way that I can say it. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, it's really not that different than a sales funnel. I promise you it really is, because most sales funnels don't focus on these things. They don't focus on the whole picture. And then you lose momentum. So with that said, I hope that answers your question. That's the difference between the Flywheel model that I teach to build a business than your traditional sales funnel. I would call it a sales funnel 2.0. And here's the thing, if you catch this right now, if you're watching this and you start thinking through this process now, you're going to be 4 years ahead of your competition when this thinking that I'm sharing is going to become mainstream, because I promise you it will. Everyone's going to start training it. Everyone's going to start saying, oh yeah, I hear what Isaiah is saying. Let me start training on it. It's going to start happening. So I have a tremendous sense of urgency to get this out to the marketplace, because the effect it has on your whole organization, your company culture goes up. When you recruit people, the quality goes up. There's so many what I would say fringe benefits that come or intangibles that come with this momentous process of building a Flywheel methodology. With that, Isaiah Colton, you better have a sales and marketing plan. Flywheel has to be at the center of it. Make sure your clients have the best experience. Until tomorrow, see you then.